Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're here with another episode of Shadow and Bone, the penultimate episode, episode 7. Last time on Shadow and Bone. Yeah, the hunt for the stag is on. Alina finally reunited with Mal. They've now decided to head to wherever, in the mountains in the Fjordan territory that, the stag was actually located, to find it before General Kurgan has actually, before Kurgan finds it. I guess I can only make some assumptions at this point as to what the intention is. Whether she hopes to find the stack so she can use it to amplify her abilities, and use that to remove the actual fold. And I'm not sure what the plan is from there on. What will happen with the fold removed? The implications for that are certainly enormous, considering the conflict between the West and the East. The king himself wants to, reunite all of Ravka, and an important part of that is removing any dissent in the West, and he needs the fold removed to help him do that. So, with the fold gone, if that happens, it should be interesting, see what the repercussions are. Kaz and his group, unfortunately, have left this job with zero and nothing. They've had to use all the coin that they've had left just to barely get away. I don't know what's next for them. They have no way to get back across the fold to get back home. So they're kind of stuck in East Ravka, So I guess even if they do return to Ketterdam, he gave up the club as the collateral for Inej. He still has no way to repay. So this is a lose-lose situation for him, and it's to some extent it's through no fault of their own. At every step so far, I think I mentioned in the last interview, the last reaction, that well, I love Kaz. He's my favorite character in the series so far. But for someone who's so so practical and rational, he surrounds himself with other individuals who are the opposite and who act strictly on emotion, which can be good and bad for him, because in several instances so far they've made mistakes or made decisions that counter whatever strategy he had in mind. So because of that, they've lost they've lost the job essentially, and they have nothing to show for it. But as I mentioned before, these Kaz and his group are my favorite characters to follow in the series so far. So I'm interested to see how things work out, and I do hope that they come out of this with something, with anything, with something. All right, so episode 7, guys, let's check it out.
Alexander.
You're here.
Oh, Kerrigan. Shaved Kerrigan. So this is a flashback, I imagine.
With training, with an amplifier, I could see another 100 years, maybe more.
Seems a long time to you, I'm sure.
They did mention in the last episode how the abilities can be used to extend their life, but they didn't say how. Could it be maybe a tailor or something else? Because the tailors only repair, but I don't think they can prevent, they can prevent you from aging.
But maybe you resisted. So.
Okay. Is she using it on him?
I have a message for the king.
Oh. Yeah.
Down, Grisha. Luther, it's the little witch who's been stitching him back together.
Sorry.
Hands at your back!
Well, the next arrow will do its job.
I don't think they care about that. Oh, guess he has what's coming to him here.
No, please. No, I'm begging you, please. No! No! No!
She'd have just killed everyone else except the one.
You still have a message for him?
That's what I would have done initially. Just keep the one alive since he, or just kill them all. Go to the king yourself. Now, is this before the fold or after? Okay, so she's a healer and not a tailor. I thought she was a tailor initially because she was... I didn't think healers could actually do that at a distance.
My son.
Oh, the mom.
Soldiers are sweeping west. We won a war for him.
And in doing so, started a war on us.
Because of me.
She died because they always do. They're not as strong as you and me.
You're the one who taught me how to kill, Mother. Their blood is on your hands as much as mine.
I taught you so you could protect yourself, not them.
How is he surviving this long?
Ancient army. Well, it's over, did it? Forge new life to amplify our power. We are his bloodline. He made us too.
You need to use Mersos. We practice the small science, not... It's unpredictable. Unstable. The small science feeds as Mersos feeds on us. I forbid it. Now, do you hear me?
Alright, I'm still a bit dull on my lore. So what do they call small science versus magic? I've seen the term used in before, but what they do feels like magic to me, but I think that's what they're referring to as small science. Takes his mom's plan, forges a new identity, comes back a few years later.
Darkling!
Really aren't that many men though.
You lost your healer. Hold your arms wide. He moves his arms.
So we've seen others use just one hand before. Losing control. Ah, so that's where the fool is created. Ah, damn. And his mom survived. So is it that it didn't affect Grisha that were within it, or did she only survive because she's also a Darkling or a Shadow Summoner?
What did you do?
You're only just now noticing that? It happened right outside the steps where you were.
It's not healing on its own. I need to stitch
Go
it.
home, guys. Just go
How long
home.
before you can travel?
Not long. Where?
Ketterdam.
Going back home. But how? Through the fold? How are you going to get
Lacking
across?
funds, lack of time, and conflicting interests. It's time we cut our losses.
No, he's right. You,
Where did you learn to do that?
When I was at the menagerie,
Yeah, but why would you? Well, that's dark.
which is why I can't go back.
what, she means she can't go back to Ketterdam?
I was going to tell you to trust Kaz, and that he never let you go back, but I don't have the right to tell you what you should do with your future.
Yeah, I guess she stays here. She's free off, but then that screws Kaz because he then loses the club. I mean, assuming he's not able to repay the debt. And after everything he's done to try to help her, despite, her using her talents to help him, he still tried to help her. So to abandon him now would be not great. Oh, there it is. I forget how many of these animals are there remaining, at least.
There's no way to do this.
No, he doesn't appear to be afraid. He's a good stag. Ah, damn it. I was worried that would happen. Kieran caught up. Ah.
That animal's not meant for you.
No. Ah, damn. She really should have packed some of those clothing that they brought to help. Okay. That's new. Come on, you guys need to get moving. Get to the stag before he does. How long can she keep that up, though?
Stay still. You're just too much blood.
Choose.
You have to kill it.
No, we just established that's not the way.
No! No! No!
Yeah, she chose him. And I don't see why Kieran is going to keep his word. He could just kill him anyway.
Bring me a Sanders.
Kill him. Because of his history and, his healer having died because of him.
So you are leaving?
Kept his word.
That's it. After everything, there's nothing else you want to say to me.
Hey, you are leaving. What else do you expect him to say?
Crows don't just remember the faces of people who robbed them.
I love Kaz. I love
They also
Kaz.
remember those who are kind. No saint ever watched over me. Not like you have.
Some honesty. Finally.
I can't go back to the menagerie.
You won't.
I mean, she must know by now he had no intention of letting that happen, but it's her decision to make whether to go or stay. I feel she would just be putting him in a terrible position because she then leaves. He still has to repay his debt for her.
Do you know the only thing more powerful?
This wouldn't be fair to him.
Two of us together.
Why does
Are we?
Kurgan need her?
We can do anything.
That's not a yes or no.
What's happening? Wait, I don't understand. What?
Ah. Is he binding her to him? Ouch, that looked painful.
You should now have full access to all of her light.
Oh, yep. So why did he need her cooperation in the first place? Stronger than she is. He's had centuries of practice.
Be that person, Kaz, but you sure you can drive that thing?
Yes. On the way to Krabirsk while you were busy hugging bait.
Mine.
He was actually paying attention to how it actually works. But he still needs the components, the coal and all of that to make it work.
Arkin and I think alike.
Damn.
Too soon to appreciate the irony.
Awful.
The little palace hasn't been the same without you.
Should you really be happy to see her? She is working for Kerrigan.
The king's been taken ill. His affliction's quite serious. The Upright's been ruling in his stead.
The Queen?
Confined to her quarters. No one wants her exposed to the king's...
I'm guessing that was created by Kerrigan.
You said Kerrigan gifted you to the Queen when you were 11. Does that mean... you were a spy for him?
I tried.
Yeah. Too trusting. And women.
Choosing friendship over
Finally.
survival was not a luxury I could afford.
I know what it means.
She's
to be an
she's
outsider.
caught up now.
And it's no excuse.
I used to try to fight him off. And that never worked in my favor.
But Kerrigan is the one who gave you to the king to be abused. So you should have some malice towards him as well. He gave you to the king at 11.
Every bit of your vengeance.
I don't see how that's someone you're okay with serving. Give the king what he deserves, yes,
Kerrigan does
but
not
still helping
deserve your
Kerrigan, no.
loyalty.
Exactly.
You're his pawns. Nothing more.
Tragus escaped.
That's such an evil villain move. Okay, I have the chance to kill you and get you out of my way now, but I'm not going to do it. Your guards suck.
I know. I look amazing for my age.
No, not really. Eyes forward.
I know. Not until Novokobirsk.
Another lie. I still don't understand why he needs her cooperation. Wasn't that the whole point of putting the antlers so that he could just use her powers by force? Thanks for the reminder, Inej. Alright, it's time! Alright, everyone, there we have episode 7 of Shadow and Bone. And, alright, I need all your help again. This definition for, small science versus magic, can someone outline for me what the difference is? There's a discussion at the very beginning between, Bagra and Kirigan, younger Kirigan, sort of, about using small science versus magic. I think her words were small science, sustains us. And, I think she was talking about Merzos, who feeds on us. I, if I remember correctly, that's whatever he was, the very first Grisha, who created the mystical beasts that the stag and all those animals that we've been following. So what is the difference between, small science and magic? It all seems very along the same vein to me, but there seems to be some distinction that the series is trying to make. And is it that all Grisha have an extended life? Because his mom did say, small science sustains us, and Mal noticed similar changes in Alina as well, saying that she looks healthier than she normally does. Does that only apply to Shadow Summoners and Light Summoners, or does it also apply to the other Grisha as well? Or do they also possess abnormally long life, How does that work exactly? So I'm curious to know about that. But yes, the stag is dead, unfortunately. I'd have to go back and rewatch the episode. I'm not sure how many of these animals there are. I think there are several, right? If I remember correctly. So this is just one. What I don't know is why. I mean, Kirigan created the fool on his own, right? I don't think he amplified his powers. So why did he need the stags? Why did he need the stag to amplify, her powers? I would imagine she can remove the fold on her own. Or is there a case where maybe she's just not at his level as yet, so he needs the stag to amplify her powers so she can do his bidding. But who's telling the truth? His mom said he wants to expand it, but I think she feels as though he's being influenced by Merzos, and that would be Merzos' intention, would be to expand the fold, not remove it. So perhaps Kirigan wants to remove it, but he's being influenced by darker forces to actually expand it. But he seems to be of sound mind here, as far as not to say I agree with what he wants to do, but this appears to be his plan, as far as removing the actual fold. Of course, that doesn't make him a good person. He's still done a lot of bad things. So I don't know that there's any going back for him, as far as that's concerned. And I don't see why he needs Alina's, he keeps trying to convince Alina, trying to get her on his side, which seems completely irrelevant at this stage, outside of all the things that he's done. He's already embedded the stag's antlers in her chest, so he can now use her abilities, um, on command without her having to agree. So I'm not sure why he's continually trying to, but perhaps it's as he said to Mal, he's realized that there's only one other that is his equal, and that would be her, and so for the lifetimes that he's lived, maybe that's his hope, that okay, even if he does accomplish this, he would want someone by his side, and so perhaps he's hoping to convince her otherwise, so that she does join him in whatever his plans are. So if his plan is genuine, and it is for the betterment of the Grisha. I mean, the king is not a great person, so the argument can be made that okay, he's doing what needs to be done for the betterment of the people, but is that where his ambition ends, or will it extend to, all right, the Grisha are all powerful, now we rule all of Ravka? That could be his motivation. He's not said that, but as we've discussed in this episode, he lies by omission. So, so he could very well have some grander scheme here as far as removing the fold, but take over all of Ravka. He's already gotten all he needs from the king. He can kill the king at any time at this point, and just forcefully take the throne. So that could be his plan. So we'll see. So he's still a bad person, I guess. Trying to do right by his people, but the ends doesn't always justify the means. So we'll see how that works out. Inej, Kaz, and Jesper are on the skiff with them. I guess they'll. I liked that they were very transparent with each other, Inej and Kaz, this episode, that they were speaking frankly and openly and honestly, that this is what I want to do, and if you're not on board with it, that's fine. You don't have to. So at the very least, Kaz can factor in, make his plans without factoring her into it. I understand where she was coming from, but I feel Kaz having done all he has so far, to try to get her freedom, I think her bailing on him would have just felt a bit, not fair to him, and again, that's not to say she's not earned her freedom at this point, because I think she has, but unfortunately, the menagerie has literally put a price on her freedom, and he's still required to pay that. So I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. I like that they've begun speaking to each other now. She's still not on board with, taking Alina and collecting their 1 million. And he's told her if she doesn't want to do that, she doesn't have to. It's her choice. If she doesn't want to return, she doesn't have to. He's already put the club as collateral, so he loses in the situation, but at the very least, she would still be free, So she may not return, may or may not return to Ketterdam. So, but we'll see. I mean, I'd hate for them to split up. I would, because as I said, these three are my favorite characters to follow in the series so far. So hopefully they stick together. Although even if they do stick together and come out of this, I think Kaz is gonna try to take her, but I don't see how he's able to pull this off. As much as I appreciate how smart he is, and how many steps ahead he keeps thinking, he's out of his depth here. He doesn't have anyone really that powerful on his team. And speaking of his team, I do want to know what Inej's ability is. So far, we've seen her move in and about shadows and so on, but one of the things that I'm hoping to show, it hasn't done that well so far, but I do want to understand what the extent of each of these abilities are, because we've continued to see some overlap, and so I want to understand to what extent do these abilities work. Where do they begin and where do they end? Where do how powerful can tailors become? How powerful are healers, heartrenders, and all of that? I mean, I feel like the basic ones, like the Infernian Squalors, are pretty clear, because we don't see in the Inferni lighting entire towns on fire or anything like that. But there are just some moments where like the tailors and so on, they're I feel as though they're changing reality. As far as the extent of their powers and what they're actually doing with it. So I just want the show to actually be a bit more clear as to what level these abilities are. Because pretty much they've kind of touted the Shadow Summoner and the Sun Summoners as the most powerful of the Ravka, but I'm seeing some things that are done here. Maybe not offensively, but things that I've seen like the Tailors and Healers and Heartrenders do feel infinitely more powerful, or not infinitely, but they seem very powerful, so I'm curious to know about that. But we're going into the fold, guys. We're going to the fold, and I suppose the next episode we'll find out, what exactly Kirigan's objective is. Is he going to remove it, or is he just going to expand it? So this is do or die for everyone. Everything they need is on that skiff. Kaz and his group may walk away with everything or nothing. Likewise, Kirigan and Mal snuck onto the ship as well. So Kirigan did the generic villain thing there. It's like, okay, I could kill you now, or I could let you live so you can interrupt my plans later on. But I understand for the purpose of the story that needed to happen. Mal, he's there. I guess, should this work, will there still be a need for Alina? If it does work and if Kirigan does remove the fold, I see some responsibilities being removed from her because he'll no longer need her, I don't think. So she may be free to just leave with Mal. I don't see what other reason Kirigan would want to keep her around. Unless, as I mentioned before, it's that he's hoping for some relationship to develop between the two later on. So we'll see, guys. All right, be sure to post down below, let me know your thoughts are on this episode. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the finale.